religious, respectable, and calm were the qualities that everyone who interacted with or lived around this man used to say about him. However, the truth was quite far from that. Qaddafi Farrag Abdelati. He was born in Cairo, Egypt. He worked as an employee in one of the organizations, but after a period of time in that job, he began investing his money in a project, and later on, he left his job and started working in the real estate sector, including selling and renting apartments. He got married in 2015, but later on this video, you would find that he had been married to more than 4 women under multiple identities and names. The first crime he committed was the murder of his wife's sister. Nadine was her name. He killed her because he had promised to marry her, and when she found out that he was going to marry her sister instead, he threatened him to expose his relationship with her. It's worth mentioning that when he was apprehended, he led the police to the location to the body that he had killed and buried, believing it to be Nadine's body. However, DNA analysis revealed that it wasn't her body. After killing his first victim in March 2015, Qaddafi offered his best friend to collaborate on a real estate project. His friend's name was Rida, and he worked as an engineer in Saudi Arabia. And of course, Rida agreed to send a large sum of money to Qaddafi. However, after a not so long period, Rida began to suspect that his friend was deceiving him and that something wrong was happening without his knowledge in Egypt. So he decided to travel back to Egypt to investigate what was going on there with his money, not knowing that it would be his last flight in his life. Before arriving in Egypt, he informed his wife that he would end his partnership with Qaddafi if he discovered any manipulation from him in their business. In April, Rida arrived at Cairo airport, where he was welcomed by his childhood friend, Qaddafi. While driving together, they had a conversation about their business and money. During this, Qaddafi suggested to Rida that they go to one of the apartments he was responsible for to continue their conversation, and Rida agreed to go with him, not knowing his friend's evil plan. And indeed, they headed to the apartment, and then Qaddafi offered his victim to have a dish of his favorite food, which was koshari. But it wasn't only an ordinary koshari, it was poisoned. Qaddafi had put poison on his childhood friend's food. Not only that, but also Qaddafi brought an iron rod and used it to strike Rida's head multiple times while he was struggling with death. After Qaddafi made sure of Rida's death, he placed his body in the same apartment where he had previously dug a hole and buried him in it. Afterwards, he sent a message from Rida's phone to his brother, stating that he had cancelled his travel to Egypt due to unforeseen circumstances, to deceive Rida's family into thinking that he was still in Saudi Arabia. July 2015, Qaddafi remarried a woman named Fatma Zakaria, and according to their neighbors, they had problems with loud arguments. Neighbors often heard Fatma threatening to report him to the police for taking money from her that was supposed to be invested for her. Also, according to statements from his wife's family, she no longer visited them regularly, and her usual calls stopped, especially during the final period of her life with Qaddafi, until one day she disappeared. After her disappearance, Qaddafi immediately went to the police and filed a report against her, claiming that she had escaped after stealing a sum of money from him. In the end, it became clear that Qaddafi had killed her by strangling. Afterward, he dismembered her and placed the pieces of her body in a freezer. Once frozen, he moved them to the same apartment where he had killed his friend, but buried her in a different room. The tragedy unfolded as he had rented out this same apartment to people unaware of the presence of two bodies beneath them for a complete 4 years, until he was apprehended and confessed to his crimes. Fatma's family couldn't believe that she had disappeared, leaving behind her young daughter for no reason. So one day, they visited him in the apartment where he lived with Fatma. Her family members noticed the absence of the freezer, which was where their daughter's body had been placed. When they asked Qazafi about it, he claimed that Fatma had found a rat inside it and had asked him to get rid of it before her sudden departure from the house. And of course, they found the conversation unreasonable. So, they headed to the police station and filed a report against Qazafi, accusing him for the murder of their daughter, Fatma. However, without any evidence to condemn him at that time, so the police took no action against Qazafi. In 2017, Qazafi halted his crimes, sold all his assets in Cairo, and moved to live in Alexandria, after also selling all Reda's properties. Consequently, Reda's family began searching for Qazafi, but of course, couldn't find him anywhere. The murderer Qazafi impersonated his friend's identity, Reda, from the very moment he arrived in Alexandria, where he met a young woman named Yasmin and managed to take £45,000 from her, claiming he would invest the money for her and promising marriage. Over time, Yasmin noticed the murderer's lies about her money, so she began demanding he fulfill his promises of marriage and to return the money back to her. So one day he told her that he would return the money in exchange for electrical appliances stored in one of his warehouses, and then he killed her in the same manner as he did with Fatma and buried her there. After getting rid of her, he married a doctor named Noha with his fake identity as an engineer named Reda. This doctor was from a wealthy family. Not long after their marriage, a disagreement occurred, leading to their separation. After the divorce, Qazafi decided to steal from his ex-wife's family house. So in one day, he went to her family house wearing a veil to avoid recognition and successfully stole all the gold and money from their house. Upon discovering the theft, Noha's family began searching for him, but of course, using the fake identity he had adopted as Reda, so they couldn't trace any leads to him. Afterwards, he impersonated a new identity with the name of Muhammad Mustafa and married someone named May. It is said that she was from a wealthy family and he loved her, so he wanted to impress her and to appear wealthy. So he decided to sell the stolen gold from his ex-wife. He approached the jewelry, at first taking a small quantity of the stolen gold, and it went smoothly for him. However, the second time, unfortunately to him, the jeweler had connections with his ex-wife's family. Suspecting Qazafi's involvement in the theft, the jeweler informed them of his suspicions. His ex-wife's family, along with the jeweler, went to the police station, leading to Qazafi's arrest at the jeweler's shop. However, the police didn't apprehend the individual Muhammad Mustafa, nor the persona of Qazafi, but instead, they arrested the engineer Reda, as he was married to the daughter of the family that had reported the theft, claiming he was the engineer Reda. The real engineer Reda's family received the news that their son had been found imprisoned in Alexandria on charges of a theft. Upon reaching Alexandria, they were shocked to discover that the person in custody was not their son Rida, but instead Qaddafi. So they informed the police of his real name and accused him of murdering their son Rida. And under the police pressure, Qaddafi confessed to everything. During the investigation, they found out that he had 10 IDs with different names, fake academic certificates, and passports. So, he was sentenced to death by hanging in 2021, following Egyptian laws. Qaddafi is waiting now execution in one of the Egyptian prisons. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel to receive all new updates. Thank you.